So in 2022, when I bought my Sailing Vessel Naseem, I immediately started working on its electrical systems upgrade project. The very first year, I had to do lots of plumbing upgrade, but I was working on the design. In 23, in the beginning, I upgraded lots of electronics, navigation system, echo sounder, my 3D sonar system, new radar, and but I needed more energy, more electrical power. So I decided to upgrade its battery system and the power generation system. So while I'm at sea, of course, I don't have access to shore power, or I cannot keep consuming my diesel or petrol. So I decided to have a system where I can generate electricity from wind. So have a wind turbine from solar system, and with the hydro generator. I've already bought a hydro generator, which I will show. This looks complicated, but I will start with a clean slate and I'll start putting one component at a time. So phase one I started last year in 2024 and started with the server rack battery and Victron components for my 120 volts needs. And so this will continue, and this year I'm hoping to complete it.
मेरी बैटरी भी आ गई है। Another addition to my yacht. Quite a heavy battery. Gross weight about 110 pounds.
This server rack battery, which is 48 volt DC with 100 amp hour, is of course capable of storing up to 5,000 watt hour of energy. Plenty of power.
My Victron's first important component, which is the inverter charger, has just arrived. It's called Blue Power, company Victron Energy from England, and this one is capable of converting 48 volts DC into 120 volts AC. It's a 3000 volts amps, capable of generating the power. And it charges at 35 amps.
So these two heavy items arrived here in Calgary, and I needed to take them all the way to Atlantic, Canada, where my boat was stored for the winter last year. So I loaded them up in the Jeep and I drove all the way 5,000 kilometers.
Eid Mubarak. Today is 10th of April. Abad is going on another long trip all the way from Calgary to Atlantic, Canada to Bay of Fundy. Taking my bicycle for my boat. Fully loaded. It's unbelievable. So much stuff. I couldn't go in by air because I've got my new battery. My Victron stuff.
So after a few days, I arrived in Grand Manan Island, New Brunswick, and I started loading the heavy items on my boat using some of my seaman's ship skills. Making a purchase for hoisting, and the challenge was getting it out of the Jeep, hoisted it up on my boat and took it downstairs. And of course I needed some more components, so I decided to do another drive trip to Montreal, which is, I had to go through USA again, through the northeast state of New York.
Today is Thursday, May the 2nd, 2024. I am driving through the state of Maine, the northeastern state of the United States, heading west towards Montreal in Quebec. I'm going to pick up a few electrical items for my boat's electrical project from Volts Energy.
So the purpose of my trip to Montreal was to personally meet this young electrical engineer, discuss my design, because I was communicating with him over the emails, and I needed to buy a few more components. And these components are basically intelligent components.
The destination mark is the Canadian-US border. This is giving me an idea how far to go to the border.
Components are basically intelligent components. It's a bus bar, Lynx distributor. It has a positive and negative bus bar. It can handle up to 1000 amperes, which is a very large amount of electricity. And it has mega fuses. And then connected with a shunt, and then doing some networking, it can I can basically monitor how much electricity is going in for charging, how much is coming out for consumption. And also I discussed my design, add some improvements, and that was last year.
So this was my shoe drawer, and I'm trying to fit this battery in this place. Let's see. I think it will fit perfect.
So I use the shoe rack and use it to store the battery. And I got a shelf built and fitted it, made it completely immobilized, so basically it wouldn't move during rolling and pitching. And that area became my high voltage, high electricity storage area. Quite protected, of course, and I have a fire extinguisher there as well, suitable for electrical fires. The next step to network all the electrical components using RJ45 and RJ11, and uses a controller area network VE Direct, which is Victron Energy's proprietary protocol for communication. And then bus bar is connected to the Victron Quattro, and the battery power is connected to the shunt. When I go back, I have to still do this grounding. And those two wires coming down from the right hand side, that is my integration point for my 12 volt DC system, which I'm going to do this year. And the next important step when I go back, so I have to connect my shore power to Quattro, and so basically disconnect the old connection to the electrical panel, identify my primary and secondary, and connect my Quattro to primary and secondary. And then basically I take when I remove the old connection, I'll connect my shore power to my Quattro. The grounding bar goes to a galvanic isolator, which is mandatory on ships and boats. Basically, it protects unwanted currents going in and out, which are basically DC currents. And once this is done, at the end, I do all the grounding of the system. And so this is my complete system for converting 48 volt DC to 120 volt AC. And after completing all this task, what I have to do is connect my generator, run it, and do all the smoke test and the load test. One switch at a time. Everything will be shut off. With my multimeter, I turn on and see all my energy. So this is a completion of phase 1. And smoke and load testing is done. Now I move on to my 12 volt DC upgrade system, which I call it phase 2. So basically I already have my engine, diesel engine and alternator, which charges my lead acid battery. And it has its own 120 volt AC battery as well, just like car batteries. So I have recently purchased 4 lithium iron phosphate batteries, 100 amp each. So these are 12 volt DC batteries. So I'm going to connect them into parallel. Parallel configuration is black to black, red to red. So making them 12 volt DC with 400 amps. So almost same capacity as my servo rack battery. So to charge this system, I need to use an Orion XS0. It's a DC to DC system, and basically it is connected with the starter battery, and it takes its currents and connected with the distributor bar. And then of course I also have the battery charger. So lithium battery charger, it comes as a 120 AC to 12 volt DC. And these were my petrol and diesel charging, but I've got natural resources as well. And natural resources include my wind turbine, which I've already purchased in 23, almost 2 years ago. And I tested it last year, works great. I put a wind turbine. Unfortunately, my wind turbine had a very weak mount, so it broke. So I'm gonna add a new wind turbine and of course my solar charger. So this becomes my secondary rudder, and I can steer the boat or auto steering. And the other unit is Watt and C 600 watts hydro generator. So it generates electricity. Even if I get a 50% power, it can still generate 10 amperes for me, which will power my electronics, chart plotter and my radar. So moving on to the next connections. From the bus bar, I connect to my DC panel. 12 volt DC panel is already installed, of course. When the boat was built, with all its connection circuit breakers for my lights, for my navigation instruments, radar, and everything. And then, of course, one more connection goes right in front of the boat for my windlass, which lifts the anchor, and for my bow thruster. Now, moving on to the final setup of this complete system is the integration of my new 12 volt DC to my 48 volt DC. For that, I'm using Sterling Power's DC to DC charger or transformer. Basically, it takes 12 volts or 24 volt DC and moves it up to 48 volt DC, and it's a bi-directional charger. So this will basically take all the extra power when my engines are running, or my petrol is running, or my solar charge, or whatever power is, any surplus power, it will keep moving into my 48 volt battery. And if I need to turn it the other way, I can do that. I'll have to just tweak it. So this is how it looks like. And the final configuration is basically bonding of all the earthing of the system. 48 volt has its own earthing, AC has its own earth wires. They're all green basically, by the way. And 12 volt has its own earth wires. Every metallic part on the boat must be earthed. And then it is connected to the common bonding plate, which is a metal strip inside the boat, which is connected on the outside with a zinc plate. So Dynaplate is a company who makes the zinc plates. On my boat, I have a Dynaplate outside of the boat. So all the grounds, they go and connect with that plate, and any kind of short circuit and things, it throws it out at sea, just like at home. On the houses, basically, there's a big metal rod inside the ground, but on the boats, it goes out. And that's where I had to use galvanic isolator on my shore power inlet. The reason is that any kind of DC current should not go out, because everything is connected together, 48 volts, 12 volts, 120 volts. And so that galvanic diodes inside, it will protect DC currents going in and out. It will allow only AC ground. And another reason is that if there is a boat next to me in the marina and they don't have a galvanic isolators or things, so any kind of leakage from their current, because water is an electrolyte, so seawater especially is an electrolyte, their current can seep through my shore power connection and come into my boat and corrode my systems. So that's the reason that we use galvanic isolator. And then, of course, there are sacrificial anodes which we connect near the propeller. So any kind of current seeping out of my boat, they will destroy themselves instead of destroying my propeller. So this is a complete setup. So this will become a totally autonomous off-grid electricity system. So while I'm at sea, I'm not short of energy. So I've got already a Watermaker. If I can make electricity and I can make my water, I have no problem. So when I bought this boat, I used to call it, इस जहाज का मसला पाकिस्तानी है, इसको न बिजली है न पानी है. But now, इसका कोई मसला पाकिस्तानी नहीं है, इस पे बहुत सारी बिजली है और बहुत सारा पानी है. I'm so thankful to God. It has been approved, and it is. My son is an electrical engineer. He has seen it. I've discussed it with other electrical engineers, and this will become an autonomous electrical system for Sailing Vessel Naseem. Using this, I can make free water. I can use free energy for many years to come, and fulfill my passion of going anywhere in the world, inshallah. Hope for the best. Stay safe. Pray for me, and I pray for all my good family, friends, and everyone. All the best.